everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Friday, January 26th, 2020. No, it's January 16th, 2026, and this is episode 320. I'm Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls Unraveling, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, where it is absolutely glorious today. So I thought I would take advantage of the good light and have a chat with you today. I've set myself a little bit of a challenge. I'm hoping to finish recording before Cameron gets home for lunch, which is in a little bit less than an hour. So let's dive right in to what I've been working on since we last chatted. I'm going to be again diving down. I've got things in front of me. I'm just surrounded by beautiful things, and so forgive the reaching and, you know, all of that stuff. I don't think it bothers you. I'm hoping it doesn't. Oh, I'm looking at my hair. It's getting cut tomorrow. It badly needs it. First up is what I call my Christmas Eve cast on. I cast them on December 23rd. It's my socks from this year's West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colorway, mulled wine. And this is the sparkle base. I think they do all their Christmas yarns on sparkle base now, which doesn't bother me at all. I love sparkle. So I think last time I showed them to you, I was a good way down the leg. I've since put the heel in. I did a German short row heel. Try and get those needles out of the way. And I'm just working my way down the foot. My usual 64 stitches on a 2mm needle, and as you can see, I'm doing these top down, which is how I knit most of my socks, and a 2x2 rib. I also have my Unwinding Hours shawl to show you. I struggled last week because it is quite fine yarn and a lot of light was coming through, so we'll see how it works this week. This is by Chrissy Prang, who is Left Side Knits, and it's a basic V-shaped shawl, and it has alternating stripes of plain stockinette and then a lace pattern, and the panels are divided, or the stripes are divided by a row of reverse stockinette, or a purl bump, a purl side, a row of purl bumps. So the yarn I'm using is this cake that doesn't seem to be getting any smaller. Oh, that's such a much better look, I think, than last week. This is, oh, I don't have my tag, but this is from Fibre Dye Works. It's the mixed BFL base in the This Day We Fight colorway. And I had 2 braids of this. I spun both end to end and then applied them together. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. I did a fractal spin. So I spun 1 braid end to end, and then I divided the other into strips so that they would overlap in a fairly, just a more interesting way, a more regular stripey way, which is exactly what's happening. Oh, that's so much better than last time I showed it to you. Oh, you can hear my Instant Pot maybe making noises. I've got some couple of chicken carcasses in there from Costco chickens, and I'm making some soup stock, or the Instant Pot is doing it for me. So there's, I think, a pretty good look at the shawl this week. Look at the gorgeous colors, how they're knitting up. It's just striping so beautifully. I have my little sheep end stoppers on there. One's black and one's white. Oops. And then I have these little bird stitch markers. that I bought in Oslo a few months ago, back in September. And I thought they're perfect to mark the center stitch. I probably would be okay without marking this center stitch, but I'm definitely finding putting stitch markers to divide the pattern repeats very helpful. I think I said last episode, like I can't memorize this lace pattern, and there's a good look at the whole thing. I can't memorize the lace pattern, and so I also find it useful just to have the stitch markers to differentiate the patterning. I'm finding it really helpful. So, yeah, really happy with how this is coming along. And it's quite enjoyable to work on. Actually, right now, I'm really enjoying everything that I'm working on, and all I want to do is craft. And I've given myself a little bit of leeway this week, but next week I need to kind of get back to some household jobs that need to be done. I don't mean basic housework. I've been doing that. I mean like getting some touch-up painting done that needs to be done, and getting prepped for getting baseboards done and casings up in the upstairs of our room. Oh, I just saw the hummingbird go fly by my window, presumably down to the feeder in the front of our house. We continue to see the hummingbird frequently, which makes me very happy. Okay, more shawls. So I have continued to work on the Icelandscape Shawls by Stephen West. And I think, yeah, here's another picture. This is not in color, but I think it gives you a closer look at the shawl. So as I've mentioned before, I'm using Holst Garn Super Soft, and I chose colors to closely resemble a couple of colorways that Stephen and Penelope, that the Stephen and Penelope Yarn Shop had put together. And so one they called Winter Jewels, and the other was Geyser. So I think last episode I can't talk today. I think last episode I had completed this woven section on this shawl, and I'm now 3 colors into garter stitch stripes. So there are 8 4-row stripes, 1 in each color. That's the next phase of this shawl. There you can get a good look at the shawl to this point. So begins with garter stitch, goes to this syncopated brioche, more garter stitch, this woven check section, and then garter stitch. The next section is the, I think they call it something about, it resembles mountains. Let me see if I can easily see what the section's called, because that's, yeah, it's just called mountains, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. See if I can show this to you without, it's this section here. I think that's just, it's using short rows to create mountain shapes or triangular shapes all in a row. I think that's what really drew me to this shawl, so I cannot wait to get to it. So I have also completed the woven checks section of the Geyser colorway. It ends everywhere, but I have been weaving them in as I go. So again, section 1, section 2. I'm so grateful for this good lighting today, because you are seeing things, a really good representation of the color, and you can see all the stitching up close. Look how pretty this is. And then again, working on the garter stitch section. So I think they're actually at the same point, because with the garter stitch this time I've been going back and forth. Do color A, do color A, do color B, do color B. So that they're kind of growing at the same speed. We're up now to around 350 stitches. So the rows, despite just being plain knitting, are taking a long time. So this is definitely one of those slow projects, but that's okay. I'm just enjoying seeing the colors knit up and looking forward to the next section and the next section. All right, I have a couple of other pairs of, sorry, I'm looking down to see where they are. Here you are. A couple other pairs of socks. I talked about casting these on last episode, and I did. First up, oh, I don't have the pattern handy, do I? Might be here. Ah, yes. Here I am, sorry. The Crooner socks by Nancy Wheeler of the Knit Sip Happy podcast. And as I mentioned last episode, this was a wintry pattern inspired by the theme of Winter Wonderland, or A Winter Wonderland. But on her last episode, Nancy mentioned that you could interpret the snowflakes as flowers. And as soon as she said that, I had visions of using this yarn, which I bought in Paris about 1.5 years ago. That's blowing out a little bit. Oh, there we go. I think that's better. So cream with this pale lavender and pops of this bright, deep yellow going through it. So this is from La Bien-Aimée. And it's the Tuileries colorway. And that just, I bought it purposely because we did spend time in the gardens a few days. We walked through there. One day we sat and had lunch. Well, actually, I think we had lunch there a couple of days. One day we had picked up some wine and we're carrying it along and went to pour some, and then thought, are we even allowed to drink in public park here? And I think we found out you're not, so I think we tucked it away pretty quickly. So this is the Cashmerino base, which is 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% nylon, and it feels lovely. And then for the stripes, I had some leftover yarn from Black Cat Custom Yarns, which is a local to me dyer. This is the Everyday Sock in the Flower Bridge colorway. That's a 80-20 superwash merino nylon blend. And I was watching Linda on For the Fun of Knit podcast, and she was using some Black Cat Custom yarn, and she said she didn't know if they were still dyeing. And my daughter and granddaughter, they're and my son-in-law for that matter, they are familiar with them. Actually, my granddaughter used to live at the dyer's home for a while she was taking a course in the vicinity, and I know they closed their shop, their brick and mortar, and moved the dyeing to her home. But I went on the website because I think Linda said, I'm not sure if she's dyeing anymore, and I thought, oh yes, she is, and went on the website, but the hummingbird is literally paused right outside my window here and flew away. That's always the downside of podcasting in front of a window, is you get distracted by what's going on outside, but that was very cool to see it there. Anyway, I noticed there's no yarn up for sale on the website, but the website's still active, so I'm not sure what's going on there. So hopefully they're still dyeing, because they make beautiful yarn. Anyway, here is the sock. So far, I am in love with it. So you can see, you do these contrasting stripes, and then you go afterwards and you stitch the flower motifs on there. Definitely a little bit fiddly, but there is a video to help you out, which I found really useful. And with each stripe, it got easier. And this last one, I whipped it out in no time. But the first couple were a little more challenging. My socks might be a little bit loose, but I'm not changing. They're fine. So it has this texture pattern that runs in between the stripes and then down the leg and the foot. And then there's one more flower stripe just before the toe. You do a slip stitch heel. Now the pattern calls for a garter edge slip stitch heel. I just did my normal slip stitch edge and my own heel turn. But oh, so nice. And I was looking for a bag to, put that over here, a bag to store the project in. And I think I must have gotten this bag as part of a kit at some point, but it's a great size for socks, and it has the map of Paris on it. So I thought, well, you could not have picked a more perfect bag to store this project in. And it actually still had the card in there. It's by 3 bags full. I know it's been years, eons since I got this. I have no idea. I have not looked to see if they're still making bags, but I obviously just tucked the card. Oh, actually, I see they have a label in it anyway. But yes, I mean, how perfect is that? Oh, and it's got this really nice beaded pull. So, perfect. Nice little box bag. And one final pair of socks. So I'm calling these my experimental socks because I am trying out the Addy Sock Wonder. So there's probably a glare there. The Addy Sock Wonder needles. They are 10-inch circulars, and one needle is about 3 inches long, and the other needle is about 2 inches long. And I can't remember who I was watching who mentioned that they had tried them and they liked them, but I thought that might be a possibility. I like the idea of knitting on a small circular and just going round, 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 instead of knitting magic loop and every half a round having to rearrange your needles. But I tried 9-inch circulars. It just did not like them. They did not feel comfortable with the way I knit. So I thought I would try the 10-inch ones with these different lengths. So what I'm using, this is yarn that I bought for Cameron for Christmas. I owe him a pair of socks. So it's, as you can see, Prolana Golden Socks Matterhorn, the Matterhorn collection, I guess. Color, it's got a weird number. Where did I put it? Oh, 450.10A. And if I looked on some websites and they call it the colorway red blue. So we had to go do some shopping out of town last weekend, so I took this with me to work on in the car, and I managed to get the cuff cast on and a few rounds of stockinette stitch. Now, what I found interesting, and I double checked last night, I looked at some different videos and things, and the idea is that you have the shorter needle in your left hand and the longer needle in your right hand. I found that wasn't working for me. It wasn't so much that I needed a long needle with my right hand in order to throw. I needed a longer needle on my left hand in order to hold it properly, to rest it properly. And so I did a few rounds with it, I thought, this is not working well. And then I thought, you know, I'm just going to switch it and see. Because at that time, I think I had looked it up and I was aware that you're supposed to have the longer needle in your right hand. And apparently that's regardless of whether you're a picker or a thrower. At least I watched a video last night that mentioned that. Anyway, I thought I'm just going to try it, switch them around and see how it is. And I find that better. I can rest the needle in my right hand and manipulate, or I mean in my left hand, and manipulate the needle. Oops, it's hard to do it when I'm sitting here trying to show you. It still does not feel super comfortable. I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna make myself knit this pair of socks on it. Give myself a really good, fair chance. And if after that I don't enjoy it, then I will pass the needles along to someone else. But I like the idea of it, and I'm determined to give them a try. So, did I give you a good look at that? It's knitting up nicely so far. They definitely are slower going than my regular knitting. I did frog my St. Mary Mead socks and my Killer Queen sweater. I rewashed the yarn in the Killer Queen. I rewashed or soaked the yarn from the Killer Queen pullover. Here's a picture of what it looked like after I had unraveled it. So what I did, I just set up my Swift and I unraveled onto my Swift, and I also had a ball winder going at the same time because there were two colors involved, and I had to keep every round, I had to keep turning the sweater to untwist the yarn as it was being unwound. So it was a tedious evening that I spent taking it apart, but it was worth it. And then I just tied up the yarn as it came off the skein and soaked it all, and it's good as new. So it's all re-skeined and put away till I decide what I want to do with it. All right, spinning. So one of my goals for this year, and as part of the Fibre Nymph Dye Works Keep It Simple Make Along, which is going on in the Fibre Nymph Dye Works Ravelry group and on Instagram, there's a Q1 challenge, Whipping Your Whips. So that's why I am working on some of the projects that I began prior to this year. And one of them is this spinning project. Again, I showed it to you last episode. This is half of 3 braids of fiber from Sweet Georgia Yarns. It's the Cordale base and the tapestry colorway. So between September and November of 2024, I spun this. And now I'm in the process of trying to duplicate it. It's a finer, it's like a light fingering weight. And so I haven't spun on my traditional wheel. Can you see it in the background? I can't really see in the thing. I think you can see right there. I haven't spun on it for months, but because it irritates a foot problem I have. But I have been taking it, being reasonable about the amount of time I spin on it. So, oops, I just moved you because I'm trying to get this fiber that was stuck underneath. So as a reminder, this is what the fiber looks like prior to spinning. And then I took a picture of what I have on the bobbin so far. So I have spun, this is about 50 grams altogether. So I've spun one 25-ish gram length and probably coming up on half of the other. So I'm spinning, I have 3 lots of it because I have 3 braids. So I'm spinning 2 of each on each bobbin, and then I'm going to ply them together in a 3-ply. So I am a little over half of the first bobbin. And it's coming along nicely. So I'm just, like I say, trying to be conscious of not spinning too much, because I do find it fatiguing on my leg, my foot and my leg, my ankle area. And yeah, I don't want to get to the point where I'm having pain, and had a little, my bone was protruding on the side of my leg and was painful, almost like a bruised feeling. So I do not want to get back to that point, since it's been much better since I got orthotics. So that's doing that, but I can't not spin more than that. So I have been working on this gorgeous fiber from Little Barn Studio. I bought this braid of merino and nylon at Knit City, and I had planned to spin it right away, but I got sidetracked. But this is one of the little strips I've rolled up. So I divided this, I think in all was like 18 strips, and I'm spinning them end to end, and I'm going to chain ply them. So it'll be a 3-ply sock yarn when I'm done. So I did bring my e-spinner over here so you could see what it looked like on the bobbin. And it's just spinning up just so easily, just beautifully. When I started, I was struggling because I didn't have enough twist in it, and it was just kind of falling apart every time I would go to add a bit of yarn, or like, yeah, it just was horrible. And then I tightened my tension, I fiddled around with things, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is what it needs. And so since then it's just been zoom, 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 spinning up quickly and easily and evenly. So that has been fun. I'm about halfway through that braid already. I only started it Monday night. So yeah, Monday night. All right, speaking of spinning, I have quite a number of acquisitions relating to spinning. And so that's going to take up the bulk of the rest of this episode. I feel a little bit, how do you put it? There's a lot here, but it is what it is. I don't plan to buy any more for quite a while, so that's okay. And yeah. One of the things I had asked for Christmas from my sister, who had my name, was the Lazy Kate from Dreaming Robots, who is the company that makes the e-spinner that I have. I had seen these on the Chaotic Fibers website and just thought these looked so portable and just easy to use. I do have a Lazy Kate from Ashford, which I do like, but I thought I wanted to try these, and they're not that expensive. And for you, those of you who don't know what a Lazy Kate is, it's what you put your bobbins on to ply. So if you're plying a 2-ply, you can take these 2 halves and they stick together with a magnet, or the Lazy Kate comes with 3. So you put them in a row, and then you have the, I don't know, what do you call this? Whatever you call it, shaft, rod, I don't know. Anyway, that sticks up. Put your bobbin on that, and then you can start plying. There are a couple sizes of these, plus there's a thing that you can put over top to prevent, I'm not even sure what it is. I'm looking over there because that's where my bag is. Let me just scoot and see if I can find this. This goes over the top. I think it's to, if you just have maybe some loose yarn. I don't really know. I'm gonna have to look into the use of that. It also has something you put on top to keep your bobbin from coming off, and also has a tension thing that you can put around your bobbins just to, so they don't fly around too quickly. So I'm looking forward to trying it out. Honestly, I opened it, put it in my bag. I haven't really explored it yet. When I go to apply my sock yarn, then I'll look into it more. But anyway, that was a cool thing. And then the other thing that I had suggested, and what it is this was a Christmas suggestion, but my sister had already bought me that, what was it called? I showed it to you last week, the guess where trip package. So that's what she ended up getting me for Christmas, but I still really wanted this. And I had Cameron had gave me some scratch and win lotto tickets, and I won $50 Christmas morning, and so that's about what that cost. So I bought that with my Christmas money, or my winnings, I should say. And then Chaotic Fibers also has these mystery skeins, and so I thought that sounded like fun. I was curious to see what I might end up with, so I ordered the 5-pack. You can do it in such a way that you can get more than one of the same colorway. I wanted to just get a sampling. I was curious what fibers and what colors I would receive, and I got some fun stuff. So this is a braid of Polworth. Feels nice and fluffy. This one is 100% Cormo. This is Merino Silk, Tussa Silk, I think. No, just says Merino Silk. So you may be able to see some sheen in there from the silk. And then there were 2 braids of 80/20 Polworth and bamboo. So this is one, and this is the other. So that's fun. And then I'm blaming you, Nancy. I was watching the latest episode of Knit Sit Happy, and Nancy was showing some recent acquisitions, including some yarn and fiber from Bramble Ridge, which is actually a fairly local to me company. Their operation is from here maybe a 40-minute drive or so. I did see them at Knit City, but didn't buy anything from them. But looking at the website, it was like, oh, I saw some things I just almost couldn't live without. Now, I did wait. I didn't pull the trigger right away. I had my cart going for almost a week before I caved. But no regrets, because what I received is beautiful. One thing I got is a gift, so I'm not going to show that to you just in case the recipient happens to see this. But this I thought was a beautiful pairing. This one is called Forest Floor, and this one is called Canopy. And I just thought they belonged together, and my intention is to spin them separately and ply them together, because I think they'll be gorgeous. So this is, did I say BFL and Tussa Silk? Again, you can probably see a bit of a sheen in there. So that's gorgeous. And then they had this one on sale, which caught my eye. Because look how pretty. This is called Philippine Kingfisher. I think they must have had maybe a bird series or something. And this is Polworth and Bamboo 80/20. And in a minute, I'm going to pull out a couple of braids that I think could go with this for a combo spin. I meant to grab them before I sat down to record, so I'll pause that. Actually, this is a good place to pause it. I'll go grab them and then I'll show you the last of my acquisitions. So hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so I bought this. This is a Polworth, 100% Polworth, called Flower Power from Fibre Goddess. I bought that this summer in Calgary. And then this I bought at Knit City. This is from Sweet Georgia. It's Cordale. This was the Showway colorway called Bloom and Grow. So I thought those two, along with this one. Sorry, I don't want to take them out of the bags. I think you can see there's lots of orange and pink in that one, purple. I thought those three. And then I thought this one, along with it, that's my new one from Chaotic Fibers, because this has kind of those tones in it, the orange. I thought those four together would look cool in a combo spin, which if you're not familiar with combo spin, it's a little complicated to explain, but the gist of it is you spin parts of all different braids of fiber together, and then when you ply them, they have kind of a homogeneous look. So you might end up with like 4 or 5 or more braids or skeins of fiber, and even though they're all from different braids, if you have colors that are kind of in common, you get kind of a homogeneous look. I also had these grab bags from Chaotic Fibers. I got when I got my wheel. So these also have some colors in there that may work if I decided I wanted to add those in. So don't know when that's gonna happen, but it has to happen at some point. Finally, I know last episode I talked about some gorgeous red merino linen silk fiber from Useful Creations that I had spied at the last Weavers and Spinners Guild meeting. And I showed you last episode I had bought a skein of the same base, or a braid of the same base in a different colorway and played with it. And then on Tuesday I went to Guild and met Jude the dyer there and purchased 5 braids of this gorgeousness. You can see she's used, I forget how many shades of red she said she used. But you can see there's the dark, and the cherry red, and this brighter red, and then also the coloring differs because of the different fibers in it. This is I think the linen, and then the silk takes it differently than the wool. So my plan is to spin a sweater. And this is like my Christmas present from Cameron. He had asked me what I wanted. He was supposed to buy some new curling shoes for his, which he never did get around to. And I said, well, I have this fiber I want to order from Jude. And so this is my Christmas present. Don't know when I'm going to get around to that one either, but since I'm already working on that other Cordale from Sweet Georgia, that's a longer spinning project, so I don't think I want to go right into a sweater spin after that. I think I'll do some smaller spins first, and then at some point concentrate on this. But yeah, it's so beautiful. So, and just so me, I love my red. So that is it for acquisitions. Just really quickly, as I mentioned, I went to Guild. when I say went to Guild, they have the Guild room open a couple of times a week where people can go in and weave and spin and do whatever. So I took my Unwinding Hours shawl and sat there and knit on it for a couple hours. And I hadn't been just there just to hang out for a long time. I've gone to some of the monthly meetings, but usually we've got plans and I leave right after. So this time just to go and sit down and chat with people was really nice. Last Saturday, we went to my younger sister's place for dinner. So my oldest sister had a significant birthday this year. And so my younger sister had invited her and her husband for dinner. But then what she didn't tell them was that we were coming, and then another sister and her husband were also going to come. So we had the birthday girl arrive first, and then we showed up 10 or 15 minutes later and surprised them. So and she was surprised pleasantly, and we had such a nice evening. So it was 8 of us there, four of us sisters. Sadly, the 5th sister lives in Toronto, so she doesn't always get to participate in these kind of gatherings. But Janine she loves to cook and she loves to bake. She made 4 kinds of soup for dinner, plus biscuits, sourdough bread, and some multigrain rolls, and then she made 2 desserts. So we feasted. It was amazing, and it was a dark, rainy night, and so it was just soup and bread. Such a nice, cozy kind of comfort meal. And then after we ate, we played Trivial Pursuit, which I don't think any of us had played for at least a decade. It was the original one, and we divided into 2 teams, and Janine said we shouldn't do husbands and wives together. So she put names on 4 different colors of paper, and then divided them in half, so that we were drawing. We knew we couldn't draw like. You know what I'm saying? It had to be random. Anyway, when we drew the first time, it was legit girls against the boys. And we decided, okay, we don't want to do that either. And so we drew again, and it naturally came out to 2 guys and 2 girls on each team. So that was really fun. And my team won. Yoo-hoo. But our last question was it was a geography question, and it was such a local thing for us, the answer. It had to do with the body of water that separates Vancouver Island and the Olympic Peninsula. I'm not sure how exactly it was worded, but it's the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which the guy or whoever went to read the question just kind of rolled their eyes. And, we said, yeah, if you lived on the East Coast or in the prairies or out of this general area, you probably would have a harder time with the answer. But because it's just such, we've just known that forever, it was a really easy win for us on that one. It was random. You can't pick your questions ahead of time. I'm very happy to say we now have a TV in place in our living room. So we've lived here now almost 10 months. Yeah, it'll be 10 months on the 21st. And for various reasons, we haven't put up our TV in our living room. We wanted to paint first to get our trim done. We weren't sure how we were going to mount or how accommodate the box for the TV. And anyway, we ended up getting a bookshelf, putting it in that little corner, and Cameron had bought the not stand, but the mount for it like months and months ago. So last night, our son Matt and his wife came over. I invited them for supper, and Matt and Cameron put up the TV. So we still have to kind of deal with the wires, and we need to buy a longer HDMI cord and all that. But the hard work's done. And then at the same time, we had a new TV arrive yesterday, because when we had our granddaughter over a couple weeks ago, we were watching something on TV, and she said, "How come it keeps going dark and light?" And we honestly hadn't really noticed, but it was the light kept fading in and out, and it got especially annoying. We were watching curling last week, and it just kept changing, and so it's like, okay, I guess we have to suck it up and get a new TV for this for our spare room. And so that came last night, and with Matt here, Cameron was able to get all the cords in the right places. So yeah, got all that settled. So now once the bookshelves in place with all the cords hidden and all those things, I can put things on there, because we still have boxes in the crawl space with books, and what I want to put on that shelf is my cookbooks and photo albums, so that they're accessible. Not like we look at the photo albums that often, but I like to have them on hand if I do want to just flip through them, or sometimes you just, you want to see a particular photo and, you can't go and look. So just another step to setting up kind of permanently here. All right, that leads us to something good. And something good is, as you might have guessed, I fixed my e-spinner. So as I mentioned last episode, I was in the middle of applying, and it gave out on me, and I couldn't get it working again. I got in touch with Chaotic Fibres where I bought it. And one thing I wasn't able to do, this is the flyer, and there's a little set screw underneath, and you're supposed to take the flyer off, see if there's anything caught behind it, like fiber, and or tighten it if it needs tightening in order to spin. And we couldn't get the set screw out, and what it turned out being is that it has a little hex wrench that you use, and the top of the screw was stripped, so we could turn the hex wrench, but we couldn't get a grip on the screw, and it's teeny tiny. So she said it was either something to do with that she would send me a new screw, or it was the motor. So she sent me a new motor. And so I managed, with the help of some jewelry pliers, to get the set screw out, reinstall the new one, and it did not solve the problem. So then I changed the motor, and I was so proud of myself, because I don't know what I'm doing, but honestly, it's so easy. There's just looking to see, yeah, there are 2 screws on either side of this. So you have this off, you undo these screws, unclip the motor. There's 2 plugs, one that plugs in the motor, one that plugs in something else, the electrical system, I guess. And then you just put the motor in, screw it in place, plug the things in, and boom, it was done. So I was quite pleased, and immediately turned it on, boom, that was it. So again, excellent service from Chaotic Fibres, and happy to have my e-spinner working again, because I can work on this for a long time with no pain and no problem. Well, that's perfect timing, because Cameron should be home any second now for lunch. So I did it, yay. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope the weather is nice where you are. I know the east has gotten quite a bit of snow lately. We've hardly had winter here at all. We had some colder weather in December, but it is gorgeous out today, and I think it's supposed to be for at least the next couple of days. So yeah, take care until we meet again. Happy crafting, and see you soon. Bye.